Jamie, and this is the first ever Insider Update video. This is a new series of what we're going to do pretty much every few weeks, where we have a different person talking in a different place, allowing you to touch and to see the different places and people involved in what God's doing with Boy with a Ball all over the world, or at least right now all over Latin America and in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm standing today in front of the dorm and the office in San Jose, Costa Rica. It's also where my family lives, right next door. And I just figured this is a great place to start out by giving a little bit of a sense of what's happening here in the past few days, okay? So on Sunday, we had a whole lot of people gather here, volunteers, staff, Lincoln students, everybody, and they showed up right here. We played basketball, we goofed around, then we got into a bunch of taxis, and we rode right down the road to head over to the Precario. In the Precario, we've been doing for the last 6 to 8 months a census, where we basically walk into each of the houses across the Precario, and we're given an opportunity to talk to each person in each house and to take down the really vital elements of who they are and what their situation is. So we walk into each of these houses with teams, and we have a clipboard just like this, and it lists the houses that our team has to go into, and we go into each house and we fill out one sheet about each person. Some of the things in here is like, do you have your birth certificate? Where do you work? What kind of work do you do? How many hours a week do you work? Where did you get to in school? Even things like, what's your immigration state? Are you legal or illegal? And the funny thing is you'd wonder whether people really want to give that information, but the truth is as you're walking through the Precario, you have families and kids running down saying, you haven't come to my house yet, you haven't come to my house. And so you might say to yourself, why would you do a census? But the reason to do the census is, number one, it gives us a kind of a secret passageway into each family's house and into each of their lives, and we get to know people and connect with them. But second of all, it allows us to gather a database of information about each family and each of the individuals within the families, and that's exciting. We now know if we're given a bunch of gifts for 6 through 8-year-olds, we'll know where all the 6 through 8-year-olds live in the Precario, and we can go give those gifts. So it's really a lot of fun. Another really exciting thing that's happening right here is the emergence of the team, and the team really with their own leaders. Many of you know Chiqui, a lot of you know Anna Curry, and a lot of you know also Josue Garcia. Those three have really become kind of a triumvirate who are leading the team down here, and it's growing. The meetings are exciting, there's a lot of life, and they're reaching young people in the Precario and also at Lincoln and beyond. But even beyond that, they're reaching people within their own team. It's becoming a developmental garden where young people are growing. A really touching story that happened just this past week is that on Thursday nights, all of us as a team, we show up around 6 o'clock and we eat pizza together. So everybody kind of drives in here, parks the cars, goes in there, we eat pizza. Then around 6:45, we head over to the Precario. From 7 to 8, Josue leads us in a time of worship and also a nice Bible study. A lot of the families come in, a lot of kids and a lot of the women, and then some of the men too. And so during the time this last Thursday, I was sitting up on the stage, and there was a big pile of magazines that somebody had donated from like a medical office waiting room. And so as we were sitting there, 2 or 3 of the little girls, probably 10 or 11-year-olds, they started to pick up these magazines. The magazines were like Architectural Digest or Bride magazine, and they're full of these incredibly exotic houses and these scenes and families with lakes outside their house or ponds inside their house practically, and hardwood floors and all these beautiful palatial kind of decorations. And I sat there watching these little girls, and every picture they were showing to each other, it was like they were seeing a picture from another planet or something. They were excited. And then you really should have seen them when they got to Bride magazine. They're looking at these princesses and dresses from their perspective. And there's one part of me that thought, you know, the reality is that while they're looking at this magazine, I could see a roach going across the floor below them, and I could see a rat underneath one of the couches. Many of them, their toilet is right next to their kitchen sink, and there's dirt floors. There's one part of me that thinks of the hopelessness of the situation, that these are kids who will never get there. We're looking at pictures of what they'll never, what a tease, right? But then one of the exciting parts is the next day, as we did the census, a lot of those girls were there helping us because they're part of Raquel, the young lady that some of you have met. She's our office administrator. She's leading a group for the young girls in the Precario, and she's leading it week after week, every 2 weeks, and the girls are really, really growing. So in the census on Sunday, a group of those girls came in and they were helping us go door to door to help their community. What I did realize is that I don't know whether they're going to ever end up in those houses or they're going to end up in those dresses. I know that I won't end up in those dresses, and I'm pretty sure I probably won't end up in those houses. But what you do see is that rather than a tease, they're being given hope for a reality that they are getting to. They're taking steps ahead, and they are walking into their dreams. We'll be back in the next few weeks. You'll get to hear from other leaders in the team, and also we'll take you to different places so you can kind of see it. If you have any questions, just send us an email at boywithaball@gmail.com, and we'd love to share stories with you person to person. So have a great week.
Your love is extra.